Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This week we have One Drink with Travis Tober.
So I didn't want to be too serious. The deal was just create a fun atmosphere to hang out at. And at the end of the day, we just wanted to be a neighborhood joint.
This guy is well known as the Kevin Bacon of mixology and the hospitality industry. 6 degrees of Travis Tober. He has worked with Flair guys. He's been working with the mixology world. There's one thing that you have to say about Travis Tober is that he is truly 100% authentic. He is himself all the way through. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in Travis Tober. There's the man.
Thank you for my very first sizzle reel. That's amazing. I do get the middle finger in a lot of photos.
Yeah. I was going through your Facebook to find some pictures to add into the sizzle reel, and I just kept finding these pictures of you greeting people with your middle finger. And you know what? I have sent you many pictures when it's 6 degrees and I bump into somebody that knows Travis Tober. We always send you a fun greeting of us giving you the finger from wherever we are. So,
thank you. I'm honored that you.
It seemed appropriate.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoy it.
Right. So great, ladies and gentlemen. This is Travis Tober. We go back to the late '90s. I need to save that story for the end, though. Travis has one of the best stories, one of my favorite stories that I love to listen to. He's going to share that at the end of this. But Travis, this is One Drink with, so you get to choose the drink, sir.
Oh man, it's a tough one. It's been a long week, so I'm just going to get straight to the point. And the drink that I'm next to the vodka soda that I also invented, but the other drink that I'm most famous for, that being a warm shot of Aviation Gin.
Warm shot of Aviation Gin.
So yeah, I will tell you that it is actually room temperature, but the story actually started in Texas. When I first started working for aviation, I walked into a bar and I was like, "Oh, I'll do a warm shot of gin." And they're like, "You mean room temperature?" I'm like, "Well, it's an outdoor bar. It's the middle of summer. Believe me, it's warm." And I did that at first, kind of as a little bit of a gimmick, kind of get people to try warm shots of gin. We're talking, this is 8 years ago when I started working with Aviation Gin. So obviously we're right in the middle of the cocktail renaissance, and people are taking themselves very seriously. I, as you know me for a long time, do not take myself seriously. And I think what better thing to do than is just, a warm shot of gin when people have that. And the reaction I would look for is, that's not that bad. And that's what everybody.
Yeah. It's not. It's by design. You tell me about the design of Aviation Gin, then.
Well, it is great. I mean, obviously there is a lot of hoopla about it now. It being purchased by Diageo and Ryan Reynolds being a part of it for the last 2.5 years. But man, Aviation Gin has long storied history. I guess as long storied history as an American gin can. We started it. I didn't start it, but 2006 is when the gin started around, being distilled in Portland, Oregon, with 2 gentlemen, Christian Krog's dad, who was the master distiller, and Ryan McGarrion, who's a bartender, still a bartender today, has probably influenced so many bartenders and trained so many people throughout. They got together and they decided they wanted to make an American-style gin. Up until that point, it hadn't been done. Tanqueray, Beefeater, Bombay Dry, all amazing gins, all London Dry. First American style gin, or the first one to really grasp into Western style gin, not being juniper forward, for being, citrus, citrus forward, Indian sarsaparilla, juniper on the back end. And basically, I like to say the first gin really made with cocktails in mind, because if you think about 2006 is kind of that Top Chef era when everybody was really enjoying celebrity chefs and actually going out to really nice restaurants, and lo and behold, cocktails were just waiting in the wings. Yeah, just super lucky that these guys made this gin, and they had cocktails in mind. They wanted they're on record. I'm on record with saying shaken citrus cocktails with this are amazing. A lot of that, and the aviation cocktail was the cocktail that they made when they distilled the gin the first time. They wanted to make the first aviation friendly cocktail gin. And if you think about 2006 and 2007, that's when the aviation cocktail was super on point. Everybody loved it. That hard to find
cocktail renaissance was really just starting to gain some momentum and get up to speed, right?
Yeah, for sure. And luck, half a little bit of luck, you know what I mean, and a lot of skill just came in at the right time, and slowly grew from them. So it's been around, now 14 years, which is a long time. When aviation started distilling, at that point in time, there was 50 distilleries in the United States. That's including Jack Daniels, Maker's Mark, the guys that have been around forever.
Bourbons, yeah.
All bourbons. Now we're well over. I mean, I don't know after the pandemic, but over 2,000 distilleries. So yeah. Pretty wild.
Right. I wanted to ask you about the influence of the bartender on the aviation gin, because you always talk about this was the first bartender and distiller creation. So how much influence did the bartender have, and what did he bring into the gin that made it so special?
Ryan at that point in time when he came in, he was the cocktail guy. He knew where cocktails were going. He was very specific. I can walk into any bar or restaurant and look at a menu and know if Ryan McGarry consulted on it. I just know exactly how he writes menus, and it's really amazing. But yeah, no, he really wanted to be this, and we've always been a brand. I call it the FUBU of gins, for us, by us. It's always been by bartenders. 2006, when I started in 2011 or 12, I can't even know these days. I slept at bartenders' houses when I was going out of town, and you know what I mean, because we didn't have the budget. It was always like a friend picking us up and helping us out and moving a couple cases here and there, and it was built on the back of bartenders, for sure. We've always been a bartender brand, still are, still produced in Portland, Oregon. Nothing's changed, man. It's just, you get an international superstar that, buys into the brand, and then the largest liquor company in the world buys it. And, things, as much as things change, they stay the same, which is refreshing.
Right. So is Ryan Reynolds still involved, or did they buy him out completely, or how's all that?
No, he's still, everything that's on our side, on the Davos side, has stayed the same. Ryan's still part of it. He just put out another funny Instagram video with it. He just really slays that.
With Satan and in 2020?
I was waiting for the aviation bottle to pop up in it. A missed opportunity, but I can't get aviation and everything. 2020 is definitely a middle-aged white woman, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, he's still involved. It's been, as much, I think we're probably 3-4 months, 5 months into the Diageo purpose. Nothing has changed on our end. Still producing gin. Everything's the same. Just talked with my international team yesterday. Everything's a go as soon as travel's allowed again. I'm going to get back out on the road. I was lucky enough to do a little takeover on, I want to say, March 12th in San Francisco, literally probably a day or two before the world came down. We did a Nickel City takeover at Kevin Dietrich's place, Pacific Cocktail Haven. Yeah, I went to go see Cash. We did a pop-up at Haberdashery, then we did one at PCH. Fantastic. Because we knew the world was getting ready to shut down. And it was kind of like let's just have one last blowout. And, who knows how long it's going to be. God knows I didn't think it was going to be this long. But yeah.
No one did. My birthday was March 10th, and we had a big birthday party for me. And then we were supposed to go into big shows and whatnot with all the circus things that I do with my family, and all of it shut down the day after my birthday or something.
Yeah, it's wild. It was weird. But I was lucky to get that last little little pop-up takeover thing in and enjoy that last one. But that was the last time I was on the road, which is wild. 2019, I think I did 20 countries and 120 days on the road. For 2020 to be.
Wow. So what do you do with Aviation Gin that takes you on the road so much when you're traveling as an ambassador?
I'm still the global director of education. So basically, I'm the on-trade, face. We go in there, we launch different countries. Really proud to say that, we kind of go to these really smaller countries. We Beirut, wherever the gin is getting launched is we like to go to. And, there isn't a lot of times that a brand ambassador will roll into Beirut or Latvia or Slovenia and come in and give you, hands-on training and experience with it and stuff like that. And, when I go overseas, I go as a bar owner, as a brand ambassador, and as a bartender. And it's really fantastic, to go over to these cool countries that, that not everybody gets to see all the time, or, kind of passes over, to go to the Londons, the Berlins, and, Tokyos. It's fantastic to get out to these smaller countries.
Yeah, I got to get overseas for the first time this year. Of all my traveling, of 20 some odd years of traveling with Flair and mixology, I just got overseas for the first time in January, and then we had more plans to do it, and of course the world shut down. But during the downtime, you have been less than down. You've been super, super busy, taking advantage of the opportunity, as many have. I mean, it's been a great opportunity to work on some other projects.
Yeah.
I've been working on some great projects since I haven't been traveling as much. But you tell us about what you've been working on, Mr. Nickel City.
Yeah, well, we decided, it's actually a year and a half late. We decided to open up another Nickel City in Fort Worth, Texas. I've been a frequent visitor of Fort Worth for years and absolutely fell in love with the city. It's got some really great vibes, really great people, really, really, under the radar food scene and cocktail scene.
Okay.
It's been fantastic. You know what I mean? Everybody wonders why I didn't go to Dallas or Houston. I really just love, this city just screamed to me. And we're big at, when we want to put in Nickel City, it's the building that first talks to us. We don't try to put, a square peg in a round hole. You know what I mean? So it's a neighborhood bar, man. We're just an everyday bar. We always get a beer and a shot for $5. You can also get a $150 ounce of whiskey if you want that. And you can also have all my bartenders. We have about 250 cocktails, in our system. We're ready to make it whenever. We do, in Austin, and then here we'll eventually do Halloween pop-ups, Christmas pop-ups, and just have fun with bars. Ryan, who made Aviation Gin, had this saying, what happened to all the delicious drinks? When we started getting too serious about ourselves, we tend to forget and kind of talk bad about a mojito. A properly made mojito is amazing. So
how many times have you gone into a pseudo mixology bar and got a drink that the mixologist was creating only to outsmart and one up the bartender down the street using some really strange spirit or whatnot? The drink doesn't really taste that good, but it's innovative.
Yeah. So we just wanted to bring the luckily when I was traveling for the last 8 years with Aviation Gin, I would go to all these great cocktail bars and all this stuff, and then at the end of the night we'd be like, all right, well let's grab the bartenders, let's go out for a drink, and we always ended up in a neighborhood bar drinking a shitty beer and shots of whiskey. Why don't I just open up that bar, but just add a little bit more cocktails and a little bit more approachability for everybody else, and it's been good.
Parties end up in the kitchen, right? The most comfortable room in the house.
It really is. You know what I mean? And we pride ourselves on being an industry bar. It takes us 3 or 4 months to really get going, but the word gets out through the bartenders. Same as with Aviation Gin. We became friends with bartenders first, and they spread the word. It's the bartenders, and you used to be able to say the cab drivers. I guess the Uber drivers these days, where you would always go for information for the city. You know what I mean? Ask the bartender, ask the cab driver. Where to go. They're going to steer you in the right direction always. They're not getting they're not getting paid like the concierge or anybody like that. So, it takes a little while, but it kicks off very well.
When are you hoping to open back up again and get to full speed?
The Nickel City in Fort Worth is about double the size, so we're comfortable 50% there. It's been good. We've been on a wait for the last 3-4 days. Again, we're blessed. Right. I actually worked a 12-hour service bar shift, as I told you. Get my butt today. Wrist hurts a little bit today. I got some CBD, some rubs and ointment that we put on later. But and in Austin we're at 25%. It's a smaller place. Who knows? I like people ask me, what are we doing? I go, well, I turn on the news in the day. If I can open, I open. If I can't, I can't. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I spent too many sleepless nights and tears to worry about again. We've been lucky not to lay anybody off in either location. We've been a few raises during this pandemic, and we have not lost anybody that some people decided that they want to go back to school or whatever, but we haven't had to lay anybody off, which has been a really, really good feeling.
Well, thank you. On behalf of so many, thank you very much for not choosing to just lay people off to save money from your bottom line and then to be part of that community. We've lost so many great people to that. So you've got Robin Clawson with you.
Robin is in Austin. Yeah, Robin's in Austin. We hired a bunch of Fort Worth guys out here. One person moved up to kind of as a culture manager, I guess, to kind of get the Nickel City culture going. So one of our shift leads there moved up to Fort Worth of his own free will, came up here, fell in love with the city, and decided to stay, as do a lot of people. Yeah, Robin's a great addition. She came, I think, last Christmas. She came on. Everybody starts as a bar back. She bar back through it, and then became bar.
Robin Clawson's going to walk in, and you could just hand her the keys within a few months, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. Robin Clawson is a great old Flair bartender. She's been with the Flair bartending gang for many, many years, and now she's riding with Travis here. Thank you very much for taking care of our Robin.
Yeah, I have a Carnival Court alumni on the team.
Yeah, that's pretty special.
Right? For sure. Well, in my opinion, Carnival Court, one of the top 10 bars of all time in the United States. Just fantastic service, fun. I mean, talk about fun bar, right? Like that's.
I don't know if there's a more fun bar in the world than Carnival Court.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, especially back in those early 2000s. Good God, man. I loved living in Vegas then. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Going down to the bartending competitions and then the trade show and the bartending competition always aligning at the same time.
I was so upset for no nightclub bar trade show this year.
Yeah.
We finally won. We won Neighborhood Bar of the Year, and then they canceled it on us. It was the one award I wanted to get. The neighborhood
had a chance to go up and get your plaque and nothing.
Exactly. I mean, we had tickets booked. Up until 3 days before. Then they canceled it last minute. It's terrible.
Third Nickel City coming?
I mean, maybe, hopefully. I do have a little project now. I'm working on a place called Old Pal. I'm opening up a honky tonk. I guess this is the first time I've actually talked about it, not amongst friends. So
I got the world exclusive.
I'm opening up a honky tonk fried chicken joint in Lockhart, Texas. He just found a really great building, and he asked me if I wanted to help him open a bar. And I go, I actually have land out Lockhart, and I'm looking to buy a house out there and move out there permanently. And I go, well, hell yeah, man. I mean, this is what I'd like to do out here. And he goes, makes sense. And, just kind of one of those, peanuts on the floor, whiskey shooting, tequila shooting, beer on ice, and honky tonk.
We had an amazing time with you. I guess it was a year and a half ago almost.
Oh, it was so much fun. Fantastic.
With Brian from Monin and Mark Schultz and of course Cash and Tomoyo and I introduced my girlfriend to the old gang there. Allison got to meet everybody. We were hungover for 3 days afterwards, I think.
Yeah, that was a good. I enjoyed the chili parlor, and then and then we went to the other bar, the Cloak Room afterwards, right, which was fantastic. I'm glad you guys got to see the cloakroom and meet Bev.
Yeah,
Um,
that was that little bar under the stairs,
yeah.
right?
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. They're all from out of town. We just want a beer and a shot. And she's like, okay. And then that group of people came in after, and she's like, hell no, get out.
Yeah, yeah. That was she was Flo from Mel's Diner, if you remember that.
100%. She
Yeah.
is an awesome legend.
Yeah, yeah, we had a great time. I remember one of your bartenders. It was his first day bartending, and
Oh, yeah, Alex. Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Poor Alex. I mean, Allison and I came in from the airport because we were surprising Brian and Mark. Yeah, we were sitting at your bar waiting for them to show up. They showed up, so we had Brian Lukmis and Mark Schultz, Cash Tamoya, myself, all sitting at the bar for this poor bartender on his very first day.
That
Having, I
day
don't know,
shift,
150 years worth of bartending experience sitting in front of him.
it was literally his first like out of training. Oh, you got a Monday day shift or whatever day it was. It's usually nice and chill. And then I walked in, I was like, oh man, you got all these legends sitting around the bar. That must be.
Oh, serendipity. Yeah. Yeah, and we weren't there to eat, we weren't there to eat a sandwich and have a light beer either. I am going to allude to how we met back in the old days. Now, just to set it up from my side, before the I don't know, it was probably before the Flair Bartenders Association or very early on. I used to run a bunch of bartending competitions in Southern Ontario, and we had a group of bartenders that traveled to every competition, and we did this Flair Coast Summer Tour probably 5 years in a row. And this young man said he wanted to come out, and that's all I knew at the time. The rest of the story is yours, my dear friend. My favorite Flair story of all time.
Oh man. So yeah. So this is pre. I mean, this is pre-Google. This is pre-YouTube. This is, we had VHS tapes, and it was me, my buddy Ben, and Jerome Borowski. We were all like, "Oh, there's this Flair competition up in Canada. I've heard about." Like, I don't know how we even learned about it without the internet. Honestly, I think we found like some website, and you were hosting it. And I remember getting your number and calling you, and I was like, hey, my name is Travis Tober, and we got two other guys. We're from Buffalo. We're gonna drive up to your competition in Fort Erie, at the Thirsty Cactus. I think that was the name of the place. And we're going to win this competition, just to let you know. Not knowing that I was talking to the inventor of the Flair bottle, not knowing
So you
that
didn't know that you were going to that. I mean, the Flair bottle was brand new too, right? But you didn't actually know.
we just got one, and I didn't put two and two. We knew it was a Flair Co on the Road Summer Tour, but when I called you, I did not know you were the person that actually invented it at the time. So we got all of our stuff. We practiced our routines. We're driving up.
So funny. Oh, we're gonna win this thing, by the way.
By the way, we're gonna win it. I'm calling my shot already. I mean, we were so full of ourselves. I was at the Canadian border, and they're asking why we're bringing liquor bottles over, and I'm like, we got this Flair competition against a bunch of Canadians, and we're gonna smoke them. And the border patrol's Canadian. Like, yeah, good luck, pal.
Where were you working at the time? Were you still working at the pier, or were you working for Jim Barnett by that?
I was doing the pier and Kahunaville, and I was with Jim Barnett at the time. And I told Jim, like, he's like, you go up, you win, you win or you don't come home. Like, and we had it like this in our head. We got hotel room. We're gonna celebrate, and then we get there, and I forgot who the first guy that goes up. And I looked at my friends. I go, we are fucked. And not only did we lose, but I think all three of us took back to back to back last place, and then a whole bunch of Canadians, one Australian, and and then we were like, well, what are we gonna do now? Well, let's get hammered. So we got hammered, and you being Dean, you're an amazing host, and we're like, you guys did great. This is what you should do. Da da da. And really encouraging. And I think we actually went up and probably did like 2 or 3 more competitions. Got a little bit better. Never actually won one, but it was fun. It was a learning experience. My cockiness always does get the best of me.
And that was the one year that Mike Doyle won. He was a guy that traveled with us all the time, and he was always trying to win a competition. And he finally won one. And the thirsty what was it? It was a thirsty cactus, right?
Practice. It was that floating boat.
Yeah, it was a taco bar on a
Yeah,
boat, on a tugboat, and I think we ended up throwing Mikey in the water that time.
I think you guys did. Yeah, but it was fun, man. We had a great time. That was my introduction to learning that no matter how good you are, there is always somebody out there better than you, and more than likely, I talk shit to them and then lose badly. But here we are. We're still friends. 22, 21 years later. And yeah, it was fantastic. Very fun.
The first time I heard that story was actually last year when we met you in Austin.
Oh, I thought you knew that the whole time. Yeah, but it was
No, no, I'd never heard that story from you.
it was disastrous. I mean, I think my girlfriend got drunk and like walked down the middle of the street. I had to find her, throw her in a car. I mean, it was a calamity of a thing. Yeah, it was not fun. It was fun, but it was not pretty. We'll say that.
A lot of times fun isn't really pretty, but here's to the nights we'll never remember with the friends we'll never forget, right?
That was the start of that friendship for sure,
Yeah,
Dino.
yeah. So 6 degrees of Travis Tober. Gosh, you're into Flair. Here, I want to ask you real quick. One of the things that I want to do with the channel is inspire young bartenders or any bartenders to. I want to give them information on how to go on a specific path to better their career or move forward, whether they become a bar owner or an ambassador. What does it take for a guy like Travis Tober to land a sweet gig with aviation? If I'm sitting here back and thinking, I'd like to try that myself, what would I want to do?
I mean, that was a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work. A lot of right time, right place, right time. Me meeting Christian back in Vegas, and then I moved to Austin, and then looking to hire somebody. And me, honestly, I'm a relationship person. I think a lot of, I cannot emphasize on really, working on relationships, never talking bad about anybody or any brand or any person you don't know who you're going to work for one day. That was just, me being lucky, running the Four Seasons in Austin, and being very nice to reps. And then Christian came into town. I met him once previous, talked to him again. They let us know that they were looking to hire a part-time brand ambassador. I started out part-time, and did that and took that job, took that opportunity. It was a part-time job. It was, supposedly 10 hours a week or, 40 hours a month. I worked 30 hours a week at it. You know what I mean?
And if I'm a brand, I'm going to hire somebody a couple of times, 10 hours a week, not give them
Yeah.
much because I want to see if they can prove their worth, if they can show up, if they know how to use a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
You know, showing up.
I took my relationships in Austin, and when I moved to Austin, you know what I mean. I moved from Vegas to Austin to do a few things, right? And that was to open a bar eventually, open up what I felt was a really perfect bar. And if at the point in time this aviation came up, and I was like, you know what, I would like to do this brand job. And meanwhile, I always loved the brand. I've often said this: the two brands I love more than anything are Aviation Gin and Monkey Shoulder Scotch. They took two categories that were considered your grandpa's and grandma's drinks, blended Scotch and gin, and kind of brought it into the new century. Um, Really revitalized, two quote unquote dead categories. So I really enjoyed that. And I just latched onto the aviation. I fell in love with it. I was working with a woman, Brooke Arthur, who started out as the original, director of education for House Spirits. Obviously, aviation's been sold a few times since, and really, gave me, all the power to do and see how I wanted to do and grow the brand in Austin. And then eventually, I did Texas, and then the sizzle reel. I worked at Vox as a beverage director, RIP Vox. And then I got the opportunity to become the national brand ambassador for aviation when it was still House Spirits. I took that. You know what I mean? had a good relationship with Davos, who was our broker at the point at that time. And then when they bought the brand, they wanted to continue working with me, and they flew me up to New York to interview me. And I was, no way am I going to work for the man. I talked to them. They showed me around the office. I got to know them better, and you know what I mean. I once I started working for Davos, I think I want to say probably 2016, so probably years ago at this point. You know, I was only going to do it for like a year until the bar opened up, and then you know they keep on talking to me like, oh well, you know, you don't have to work there, you don't have to do this, don't have to do this. I finally was going to leave, and like, well, how about you just launch new countries for us? And I'm like, well, how can I say no to that?
Right. Yeah. Trips to new countries.
And no matter what, with me in the future of aviation, aviation will always have a special place in my heart. Always have a place in my bar and on my menu. I truly love everything aviation's done for me. It's afforded me. It helped me open up Nickel City. It helped me open up Nickel City too. You know what I mean? It helped me introduce a lot of friends that I know, like really, really good friends. And you know what I mean? If you do everything with passion, whether you want to be a bar owner, if you want to be a brand ambassador, if you want to be, just a badass speed bartender, you come in and you work your ass off, and you get there before everybody, and you stay later than everybody, and you really just work hard with a great attitude. And I like, I've got a couple of people in Fort Worth that are like that now. It really, it's kind of inspired me. I was, saying something to a new person, you know what I mean? Like, we're a little short-handed right now. Do you mind working 5 shifts? He's like, put me on 6 shifts. I don't care. I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I think, as crazy as this world and crazy as this country is, I really do believe, if you come in with a hard work and great work ethic, especially in the restaurant and bar industry, or in the brand ambassador industry, or the liquor industry, you're going to excel above everybody else. Hard work doesn't come easy, but that's really truly, the key to most everything.
Show up and then have a great attitude when you do show up.
For sure.
And just be there. So what are the, just really quick, because we got to wrap it up here, but what was on your resume when you took it to New York to sit down with these guys and say, hey, I'm the best guy for this job? What kind of things were on your resume?
I mean, I was, the national brand ambassador, the current national brand ambassador for Aviation Gin. And the greatest conversation I ever had, like, I love telling this story, is I went up there, I was wearing my cowboy boots, and we went to lunch, and I ordered the most expensive thing on the lunch menu because I wasn't going to work for them. And they literally were completely honest with me. The CEO of the company looked at me, he goes, I'll be honest, I really don't know what you do, but I would love for you to do it for us.
But we want you to do that for us.
Well, we want you, and they literally said, what do you do? And I kind of explained, like, trade engagement and, you know what I mean? Like, talking to bartenders and there is no bar, there is no bartender that is too little known or too unknown. It is literally touching people, literally, going, shaking hands, meeting people, listening to people, trying their cocktails, and hanging out with them. You know what I mean? They literally said, I've done more deals for Aviation Gin at 1:30 in the morning at, the Holiday Cocktail Lounge in, New York City, sitting there drinking beers, not even drinking aviation, and talking about that, like, hey, put us on our menu, this and that, or just hanging out and just being a real person. That's all. That's all everybody really wants, is somebody to hang out with. And the reason I said the one thing I've said, what makes me a good brand ambassador is people. I hang out with people, and I feel like when I leave that relationship, people are like, hey, let's grab a beer sometime. Not a cocktail, not a fancy drink, or, not a glass of a beer. Let's go grab a cold beer sometime. Let's, share stories. Let's hang out. Oh, and by the way, I love your gin, and we love to, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it was. So it was me kind of bullshitting a little bit with this big New York company, or small New York company, and they believed me. And we did a great job, obviously. I mean, Ryan Reynolds bought it, a year and a half, 2 years later, and then Diageo. So I guess it worked. That's why I'm still employed by them in the middle of a pandemic.
And you're opening your own concepts, you're opening up your own bars, and they still won't let you go. So
it's been amazing. I'm truly, truly blessed. Like I said, talked to Brian Helfman, my international manager, and yesterday, and he's like, get ready for 2021, man. We're going back on the road, and we're going to hit XYZ country. And he's like, are you still in it? I'm like, more than ever, man. Just get me on a plane sometime soon.
All right. Well, I hope to meet you on a plane sometime in 2021 because I'm sure I'll be traveling quite a bit too once the world becomes opens up again. So.
Absolutely.
Hey man, thanks for jumping in tonight, and cheers to you. We've still got a little bit of warm gin left here. There couldn't be a better gin to drink warm than Aviation.
Sounds great, Dina. Cheers, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Travis Tober. Cheers, sir. All right. Thank you very much, Travis. That was awesome. Thanks for joining us here on One Drink with Travis Tober. We'll see you here next week.